Call the meeting to order.
Yeah, now so.
It's 1:31 on October 18th, 2023. Thank you for participating in the special homeless advisory board meeting. We're not going to do a roll call. Let's roll some. Sorry, roll call. Like, all right, we'll start way down here.
Honestly.
David Geels, Coos County.
Homeless response director for Coos County, Coos Bay, North Bend, Andrew Brainerd.
Who do we have online?
Madam Mayor, are you online? Madam Mayor?
I see her name is
You see her right there? Yeah, just to make sure that I got the four.
And there's the chairman. Councilor Farmer.
And so as soon as they get seated, they'll hand the chair. So you get to introduce yourself.
Nicole Rutherford, City of Coos Bay. Sorry for being late.
Drew Farmer, Coos Bay City Councilor, derelict, admittedly.
With that said, I will hand the chair back to the chair. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for coming today. This is like, I think, a record attendance, so I'm sorry it was late. So roll call is done. The second item on the agenda is presentation. Yes.
Madam Mayor, may I have a couple of suggestions for some additions in the comments?
Sure.
Okay, first off, maybe we can have it in the agenda later at the end of the meeting for public comments. Gentleman Joshua Sowers from ADAPT had some things happen to him today, and he'd like some advice from the advisory board today. And then I would also like to give a little bit of update as well with the new hires for the new positions that I've had so far. And before we start on the note, I just want to clarify that I am a board member for the Salvation Army. And if I need to recuse myself from being away from the room, I can. It's up to the board's decision, but I just want to let everybody know that and publicly know that. So.
Sure. I don't think that's necessary, as you wouldn't be voting on anything anyways.
Okay.
So
I agree.
Sure.
yeah. I'm not sure what the rest of the board feels like, but I'm not opposed to taking public comments, having an amendment to this agenda, and also an update on new hires, but also appreciation of time for the folks who are here too. So of course, you guys are always welcome to get out if you've had enough. So if no one's opposed, then we will.
I do have a hard stop at 2:30.
Okay.
We could file a public comment, yeah, that way we can hit the agenda and then.
Yeah, I think we keep kind of where we stand here as far as order, and then we'll add those new items to the end.
Consider situation.
Okay, so we'll keep the agenda as stands with public comments and an update on the new hires following the presentation by Salvation Army.
Thank you.
All right, so if you'd like to share.
I have 5 keys, actually 4, I need to keep one, so
We can share.
Yeah, and we can share this table here too.
The Salvation Army is proposing a housing readiness micro-community in partnership with the Kirkwell Indian Housing Authority. I will be moving through some slides, and I just want to give you a heads up. I'm moving kind of fast. This proposal's 15 pages front and back. So I'll be covering a lot of topics. If there's any information you want to double back on, you could probably find it in the proposal. But with no further delay, I will move into the next slide. Thank you. We'll be covering an overview, the statement of need, services proposed, timeline, budget, and summary. The statement of need. I should have brought a copy of this for myself, but if you'd like to read along with me, introducing Salvation Army Hope Village at the Bay. This housing readiness microcommunity initiative is built around the SEED philosophy. The acronym encapsulates our commitment to augmenting our guests' strengths, empowerment, education, and dreams. The program offers a sanctuary with safe emergency housing and support services grounded in client-centered, trauma-informed practices. The SEED program encompasses various services from emergency shelter and food to legal aid and mental health support. We propose establishing an 8-unit micro-community under the Hope Village at the Bay SEED program. This community will cater to families, including tribal members, veterans, seniors, couples, singles. I need to remove that. We're going to cater to families. And our approach is holistic, prioritizing and the individual needs of our guests. While delivering services with compassion and sensitivity. The Salvation Army has successfully implemented this methodology in various cities, grappling with homelessness such as Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Seattle, Spokane, and Portland. Central to our approach is the prevention of re-traumatization, often linked with social services and criminal justice processes. I'll try to avoid those in the future because I put some bold sentences in. That's the statement of need, basically what we're proposing to do. We worked with the Coos County Coordinated Office of Homelessness in developing the strategic plan, and now we're working to implement it. Our proposal is 8 units of transitional housing. They will be more like tiny homes. They'll be located later in the proposal. You'll see exactly on our property where they're located. They'll be located at 1155 East Flanagan in Coos Bay. On our property, we have 5 acres. We're only using about 1.5 acres. We propose to use 1 acre to the east of our campus buildings, existing campus buildings. And then also it's part of the plan that we probably need to do to add some additional parking. So you'll see all of this in the slides ahead. But that, in a nutshell, is what the statement of need suggests. If you'd like to read it, it's very thought-provoking. I'll leave you with one thought. A salient need, as voiced by both the community and service providers, is the imperative to increase community understanding of the housing shortage and services to the unhoused. That's where the Salvation Army felt we could apply our property, our vacant property, and our services. We have extensive experience in working with unhoused, all sorts of different populations, vulnerable populations. We do it every day in cities all across America and 130 countries around the world. Next slide, please. Services proposed. This is basically a quick outline of our 4-pronged strategy: innovative outreach, inter-organization and external training, comprehensive partnerships, meticulous case management. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what this proposal that's spelled out in 15 pages is comprised of. In particular, partnerships. We're going to have a heavy emphasis on organizations that are already providing services in this community. We're not going to double up. For instance, we would like to work with ADAPT. We would like to work with Who's Health and Wellness. There's services you're already providing in the community, and we would just like to come alongside and augment those. Anyway, the meat of the proposal: 8 individual modern cabin tiny homes. They're 10 by 40. Each one is 400 square feet. They'll have their own bathroom. Everything will be included in the housing unit. They'll have their own kitchenette. We will provide one hot meal. We will provide. We're not sure yet if it's going to be a brunch or a dinner. It'll be based on the needs of our guests, but we're leaning towards a dinner. That means that we will supplement the rest of the food needs with our Hope Market food pantry. We have plenty of food there that we can supplement people's needs with, and they will be provided to them free of service. Also, there will be a dignity fencing I wanted to put a hedge up, and people told me here that a hedge would grow very fast or survive very long. So I said, all right, then what's the next? Dignity fencing. And that was a suggestion from leadership and the community here that, while people are on our property, they will also utilize our programs, and we're gonna try to keep their anonymity intact as much as possible. So that shared, the final sentence says privacy dividing door. If we've got 8 units, they're 10 by 40 units. If we run don't have enough families to fill them, there'll be 8 families that we could house. If, let's say, there's only 5 families that are housed, the dividing door would give us the opportunity to close off halfway and use it for individuals. My leadership is not quite on board with that, but I would be an advocate, a strong advocate for that if we didn't have enough families so that we could keep people housed. So, and they know my thoughts, they know my feelings, but they're looking at it from a risk management perspective. So respect that. Here's the slide of what it will look like. It'll fit on our campus. The east side will have the 8 units. Orange barrier, the black around the orange barrier would be the dignity fencing. On the bottom part there, it says proposed parking lot. We would clear that area off, and we would compact it with type 2 ABC, whatever construction people call it these days, but we would make it able to support cars or structures. So we're presuming it's probably going to be at least minimum of a foot thick compacted ABC. If you look at the bottom there, that's the outline of one of the units. So it's 10 by 40. You'll notice there's bunk beds on both sides. There's a common bathroom in the center, and then there's a kitchenette. If we decided that we didn't have enough families and we were going to turn these into service for individuals or couples, those doors in the center would be closed, just like a hotel room. There'd be 2 doors, and they'd be back to back, and they'd be closed, and they would have a common bathroom that they'd share. And then we put kitchenettes at both sides. So that's the layout, a very primitive layout of what they will look like. There's no way I'm going to be able to read that, so I'll go here and do this. This is the program outline, and why this is important. We, on the last slide, you'll see that the Salvation Army has some needs as well. In regard, thank you. In regard to the housing, OHCS, Oregon Housing and Community Services Department, has placed a 10-year encumbrance on ownership. Each unit would be owned by them for 10 years. The Salvation Army asked me some questions, and I've been asking people in the community as well. What happens if operations funding runs out after 2 years? And I said, well, there's plenty of ways we can sort of seek it out. They said, well, we need a little more commitment than that. So I'm here, hopefully we can work on some sort of operation funding commitment. I will work with as short as 12-month commitment, and as long as a 10-year commitment, as long as the OHCS commitment is encumbrances. The bottom line is operations is going to be the case management portion of what we do. Remember, we're going to do client-centered, trauma-informed care. We're going to be doing housing navigation. We're going to be doing workforce navigation. We're going to be challenging people we want to come alongside them. But the challenge wouldn't be that they're in any way wrong. It would be more, what are you up against, and how can we help? How can we come alongside you? What can we do to alleviate some of it? In my past appointments, I've worked with people on this. I worked with an agency in Las Vegas, supporting services for veterans' families. In Spokane, we were doing housing helps, housing navigation and workforce development navigation, life skills training, all these things for people. It was basically housing readiness. Many people experienced the need for documents. They didn't have a driver's license, they didn't have a social security card, they didn't have, we would help. We would provide the resources so they could get those things. We would provide transportation so they could get those things. We would provide, the case manager sometimes had to fill out the paperwork. We would do everything necessary to help the person become housing ready. Workforce development, we would help people with whatever that they needed in order to successfully become employed. We would help them with bank accounts so they could use, savings accounts and checking accounts. We would do our best. We would help people overcome evictions. Those are big deals when it comes to housing. If you have a couple of those on your record, it's really hard to find housing in a tight market like this one in particular. But needless to say, those are the things that the Salvation Army is committing to in regard to case management. We're going to work with people on readiness. Again, our program is, it's contained in here, 6 months to 24 months. It's transitional in nature. There's some stipulations in regard to sobriety. There would be a sobriety component. It would be particularly.
Yeah, I was skewed and then I ran everything. I did, yeah. Sorry.
Particularly important to sobriety would be when when a person is in case management on the property for some programmatic feature. Now, we're not gonna hold a person accountable to sobriety. Let's say it's their day off and they're working all day and they decide to go spend some time with their coworkers. People, this is a part of life and we understand that. But if they're working with a case manager or they're attending a group or a class or they're doing something with one of the partners, we're requesting that they're sober for those things. Yes, here they are. Okay, so this is the intake eligibility. And then there is a stipulation in there. That's the one about sobriety right there. You can see it in the italics underneath of intake and eligibility. Person will need to be 18 years of age to qualify with the family. We will accept referrals from other agencies and walk-ins. And they need to be capable of activities of daily living. So they will have to be self-supporting through their own contributions. The first 100, back up 1 second, sorry. First 120 days, there will be weekly case management and orientation. There will be weekly housing navigation. There will be weekly employment navigation and weekly skills enhancement. If you notice right above that, there's parentheses and it says as needed. If a person comes to us and they're, we will do it on a case-by-case basis. We'll understand people. And if they solve these issues and they're well underway in 30 days, we're not going to require them the 120 days. This is just a framework for working with people. But there will be monthly house meetings that everyone's required to attend. And again, there's that sobriety commitment that we need from our guests. This is the list of collaborations for all the people in the community. We took this from the strategic plan, so it's all the people that participated in creating the strategic plan. We work with many of them. In our presentation, I also mentioned that we will, I think it's next on the timeline. It is, okay. So the Q1 2024, we will complete approvals. The Oregon Housing Community Services, the Coquel Indian Housing Authority said that that's their section. They're taking care of that. We will then work on completing the inspections and permitting with the city of Coos Bay. And I will make sure that everything's completed with the Salvation Army leadership so that we're approved and everything's ready to go. That's Q1 2024. The reason there's no movement until then is Ann Cook, the executive director at Coquel Indian Housing Authority, said that it's a large process and the paperwork requirements would be, the soonest that she could complete it would probably be December. So we're not going to there will be no movement until January. In March, we'll begin construction, hopefully tentatively. I understand we have a wet environment, so we might have to wait a minute. But needless to say, we'd like to begin excavation and construction. And then this is where all that list of community partners, this is where we would identify community partnerships and build the MOUs, put everything together for a solid partnership plan for working with people towards self-sufficiency. Order 3, we complete construction. We have occupancy permits and we would do move-ins. Order 4, standardized metrics and year-end reports. This is one of the key components that the strategic plan identified was tracking data, how we're gonna work together to track data. So I'm hoping that there's some sort of standardized metrics. The Coquel Indian Housing Authority is under instruction from Oregon Housing and Community Services to use HMIS. I'm very familiar with that program, so we don't have any issues with that. We'll be utilizing that and we'll make that available to anyone who needs access to our reports as well through HMIS. This is the budget. So we're projecting that the cost for building, excavation, permits, all of it, and a contingency to be around $700,000. It's a little more than that, but the numbers are small and I can't see it from here. So 700,000, let's say 700,000 plus. And then, but under 8, it's well under 8. And then the operations, what I'm primarily here presenting is for the operations. I put that number at 350. I did some wiggling in our budget. In the proposal you have, you see the budget. This one's fairly well laid out. And this is 381, but there's some things that are, I found a little inflated here. So I propose it'll be in the neighborhood of 350. So Salvation Army, if you go to the next slide, you'll see it right there. Salvation Army needs $350,000 annually or a $3.5 million decade-long commitment. That's kind of what my leadership is looking for in Portland. Again, it's driven by the 10-year encumbrance of ownership by the OHCS. They're looking for a contingency plan. So for instance, in this proposal, I can take you to it if you'd like. I did highlight it. So on page 5, it's the second paragraph that's highlighted. My leadership, my divisional commander, many of you met him. He's gone up in Harvey. He was down for a meeting with the governor. This was the language that he and I landed on. It says, in discussion regarding this project, it was divulged that there's a 10-year encumbrance of ownership. Coquel Indian Housing Authority funding of $1.25 million will provide for construction of 16, that should be 8, I apologize, and operational funding through June 2025. If no operational funding is available after June 2025, the OHCS has 60 days to decide what they would like to do with the units. Since the OHCS owns the units, it would be expected that all costs related with future handling of the housing units and any cleanup and restoration of the area would be at OHCS expense. So in a nutshell, what that means is that they're gonna take the units back, that we wouldn't be held responsible for the mess, but they would pay to clean it up. So that's the language we landed on. Now you know the full story. I've shared everything, everything that I know at this point with you in regard to what the Salvation Army would need in order to complete, to feel comfortable in housing units. Any questions?
Yes.
You talked about the tribes agreeing to provide operational funding through the end of 2025. I assume that the ready date for occupancy pushed back, that would be pushed back.
No, they have a hard date on their grant.
Oh,
Technically, the grant that we're gonna access first was already up in 2023, then they received another, they had a $750,000 disbursement in 2023. They have another disbursement over the course of 2024, which expires in 2025. So,
So how many months would the operational part of their grant cover?
it covers that period that the funds have to be expended by, so they're giving me a year to expend the funds. And I'm basically using the construction funds and their grant funds to charge against the grant for operations. So each unit we keep charging. I want to say the FMR was $600 for a studio, and that's what we'd be charging per unit. Against the grant.
So, Madam Chair, so we're operating under two different things. We're operating under House Bill 4123, and then we're also operating under the executive order 02. And so our charge is 8 shelter units and 32 rapid rehousing. This proposal would meet our 8 shelters. It also gives us clear definable assets as under OCHS. And then it allows us to still move forward with the rapid rehousing as we continue to move forward with the potential Devereaux project. Because of our timetable with House Bill 4123, which then is reimbursable, I would entertain a motion that we as a body consider covering the cost of the 8 shelters. That's the asset that meets our 8 mandated. It allows them to then go ahead and move forward with the 8 shelters and guarantees us the 8 within our executive order side. And then it allows us then under the executive order to seek reimbursement in order then to move forward with our 32 rapid rehousing. And so it would help the Salvation Army go ahead and secure that, but it then would allow them to be able to have latitude for operations beyond their drop dead deadline. Subsequently, I would also then say in the motion to purchase the 8 units that we also then provide our grant writing services to extend resources out of the executive order funds and or the 4123 funds in order to seek longevity for operations of this. It's a very concise plan. It meets everything that we need. It has metes and bounds. It has rules, regulations, steps. It's like a gift being brought to us. And so that's a very convoluted motion, but in a concise manner, I move that we authorize the expenditure of $480,000 for the Salvation Army's purchase of the 8 family units and extend grant writing services to assist them with future operational costs.
David, had you already said you already had the 480 and you were looking at the operational, or did I misunderstand?
I see where Mr. Milliron's going though, without.
So you could reallocate?
Yeah, without the HCS oversight on the units that belong to Salvation Army, we could,
Bypass the encumbrance.
yeah, we can also design operations any way we see fit.
Very nice.
Yeah, but technically, according to this plan with the CIHA providing the funds, yeah, we're under a 10-year encumbrance with OHC.
Good way to dodge it.
I don't call it dodge. I'm trying to be strategic.
It is strategic, Don. We call it genius.
So just so I understand, that June 30, 25 date still stands for those grant funds. So if you're not spending the 480 on capital, it's going to need to be spent still by June 30, 25.
Yeah, and we could use it for operations still. We would go back to CIHA and say, well, now we come up with an extra 480. And I guess their money, I guess we.
Yeah, go back to them for,
Lay at their feet and say,
they have a board.
Would you be able to use all the funds in that
No, not
2025?
I couldn't use that much for operations, no. Right. But other people could, other people could use this funds as well. True. Yeah, I basically had it built around about 600,000 for operations. Of the 1.25 after construction and everything.
So Commissioner, there's other strategic partners, and they actually also have some additional needs on site. And so I suspect if they go back, they will actually find a very strategic, creative way to also help some of the strategic partners that are working on this project.
Sounds to me like you already have. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, with a motion in a second, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion
Sylvia
passes.
and I.
Oh, thank you, Mayor Engelke. So motion passes.
And then we always caveat, the request then goes to the county, and the county as
Yes.
the fiscal agent then will actually be the final.
And it's my understanding that we need to get the staff report together to
Yes, if we could do
this
that.
afternoon, if not.
We could do it this afternoon,
Yeah.
Megan, then we could have this on next Tuesday's agenda.
There you go.
Yeah,
And we either talk of when are you presenting to the county?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, how convenient.
Like I said, I think it already has been.
There you go. Thank you.
This is great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. This is exciting for us. We actually. This is
Right
big.
on the ground.
This
yes.
is big. This is a start.
Huge. And as usual, it takes a lot of parties and good teamwork and
Yeah.
really, in some ways, the whole of the community. Do stuff like that.
I do want to ask though, the ongoing operational costs, part of the additional grant funds is going to be the ongoing challenge for us. Is that's correct? Is it not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's where that grant writer is gonna have to come in.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have that front and center and, but it immediately takes off a large burden off of us, which will, basically allow us to check mark the 8. And allows us to focus on the 32, which is the other project. And it makes it much more manageable for us now.
Yeah.
It really does.
Who's your point of contact at Advanced Health?
I don't have that.
Well, Amanda McCarthy is the one that has been attending our advisory.
We
for,
might visit with them about the Medicaid waiver 1115, I
Yeah, I
think.
wrote
There
them
may be
down.
opportunities to get it, huh?
I wrote them down as
Oh,
well,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
It is one source. Yeah, because I mean, even in the grant writing, we're gonna need some local money
Yeah.
to match whatever we're going to be asking for likely.
I was thinking with Advanced Health's ongoing money through that waiver, that might provide a longer term solution in a pinch.
Without the encumbrance, we could certainly explore that. That's
Good.
what immediately where my head went.
There's some other options too. I don't know, especially we're talking about families.
Yeah.
DHS also might be a likely partner.
APD, no. Self-sufficiency.
I don't know if I got my head completely around all this, but it occurs to me that the faster we get these things built, the more of that money they originally talked about would be available for operation. If we piddle around and don't get it done until the end of 2000 or even into 2025, you're gonna lose a lot of that.
Yeah.
But if we are able to move ahead and get it done earlier than your plan is, you'll have more of that available.
Yeah,
And so to that end, or what are gonna be they said you got wetlands. What else could, we ought to all know what that is and see if we can figure out how, or who at the roadblocks are gonna be, and see if we can get that work done. I mean, looking at that ground, those are low value wetlands, and I don't know why in the name of heaven, like you stronger ladies most often than that, more often than that, the state is so hung up on that issue. It's horrible. But we have to deal with it, and the sooner we deal with it, the sooner you're gonna be able to get these things built, and the more money you're gonna have.
Yeah, and not to step away from that, that's a big challenge, but we've chatted in-house, and so we definitely want to start talking with the city to see what this looks like to help this move quicker. So, yeah.
the contractor's ready to go, calls me every week. He's gonna do both the excavation and the construction, so he's ready.
Okay.
Remind me the construction, so are these are sort of stick built, or is that?
They are.
They are.
The model you could go look at right now is down at Bay Point, down on the way to Charleston, right
Yeah.
there. The brown, yeah, they're contained in this document as well on the last page. That's what it kind of looks like, but it's gonna be 10 by 40. And it'll have that frame of the door in the center, the common bathroom, kitchenette, and bunk beds. But it's 400 square foot. It's basically a container home that's built into a giant.
And I think it because it's transitional housing, it's not eligible for sort of HUD subsidies and anything else that could be used for operational. Assume that's probably the case.
Actually, there is funding for HUD funding. You ran them into Spokane for transitional with an AMI of 33%.
Just thinking of some of the options that might create some stability and funding over time.
Yeah.
Duration of stay is 6 to 24 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we only put that stipulation in there because, motivation.
Yes.
So I was just thinking all the different definitions they got, temporary, transitional, permanent, supported. Yeah. Just thinking about which one it falls in.
I'm gonna make sure that the motion itself include the help with grant writing. I know the discussion yet, but that was
Yes, sir.
That's what I wrote down.
good. Anyway, one reason or not. Could go in.
All
I'm sure
right,
he did say, it, but I just wanted to be sure.
Just want to know if Councilor Pimler's now online as well.
okay, great.
Listen, Mark.
Like,
Yes.
the only question I had was whereabouts in Bay Point Landing is a similar model?
I drove near the end and there's a road that goes right by the water and I took it down near the end and they're brown, dark brown looking units and.
About 12 of them.
Yeah.
Down the north end.
Is that
And-
north? Sorry.
Yeah, it's upriver.
There was the RV park down there, so they have RVs on one side and then they have the little,
They have trailers, they're
they're
stream.
actually stick built tiny homes.
Yeah.
There, are these in the neighborhood of the trailer houses?
The trailer houses were more in the center and these were on the end, more by the water.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it is the north
Yeah.
end.
It's the same builder, I believe, that built those that.
Wow.
And if you
Thank
guys
you.
wanted to email over this proposal, we could share it with the folks who are online.
Okay, who wants it? I'll send it right now.
If you want to send it to me, I can forward
Send
it
it
to
to you.
them, yeah,
Or Andrew.
or Andrew, that works too.
I did send it to you.
Yep.
this morning.
I'll forward
Okay,
them to.
so
Yeah.
we've got it then, we'll send it. All right, so we good with that topic?
One more thought.
Yes, okay,
I think our citizens will find it very nice, they're good, that something like this is happening. Are we gonna make some kind of a press statement, press release, and who's gonna do that?
Well, it's possible that the funds will come from the county.
We're bad at doing press releases, so that's why I'm asking the question. We don't have.
Yeah, we
don't have
certainly
budget
could
for
probably
that.
do a joint,
I think we
and
should
share it.
join the statement.
Yeah.
My press specialist is in the room.
So my recommendation is if they will draft a press release and send it my way, I'll do what I normally do, which is some editing.
Remember, our papers aren't that big.
And then that way it's a joint press release, because it will come out from, the funding's coming obviously from the consolidated, coordinated
Yeah.
office. And so, yeah. And, the paper's looking for filler in between those ads these days, so I'll make it as long as I need to.
And David, if you can include a photo of the model, because I think that will make a difference for folks who are seeing that for the first time.
Exactly, yeah, I agree, visuals are always great.
And we should definitely include the tribal
Yes,
service station
absolutely.
in that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a strategic partnership, so.
Madam Chair, may I have a
Yes.
suggestion? Could it also be possibly that we have a groundbreaking ceremony that we invite the tribes and those that are part of the program? And that could be part of the press release as well.
At the time that they actually break ground, that'd be a different ceremony, so press release is really to announce where we're headed.
Okay.
But the actual day that they break ground, that'll be a ceremonial, and so yes, it always makes sense, and that's when you have all your gold shovels, I don't know who has gold shovels, but, you know.
It's pretty.
But yeah.
There you go.
We might have
on
some
it, but yes.
I
of
want nothing
the,
to do with
I don't think I got.
we did it at the,
Gold shovel.
the,
I missed that.
but I think they might have
Yeah.
been spray.
I can get some shovels at the dollar.
All right, as we've said, we have a time limit. We'll move to the next item, which we are adding to the agenda, which is public comments. So anyone has public comments? Okay,
I was still concerned. Question. Will illegals be able to?
That wasn't in the presentation, but they'll need to provide documentation as to,
Citizenship
yeah.
and the drug policy, so
We have a sobriety component. However, for all intents and purposes, drugs are legal, but I'll share this from my experience in working with families in transitional living. Most people that are in a family environment with their children and other people's children have a tendency, I can't say they're perfect, but they have more of a tendency to mind that a little better than.
my concern would be that you're gonna be out also helping addicts for overcome if you have them mixed together, people using and people trying to stop using.
Yeah.
It kind of, works against itself.
My background has been, I'm a certified drug and alcohol counselor. My background is, I have extensive experience in recovery. So we would certainly provide all the self-help groups and private, with partnerships, private therapy and clinical services that anyone would need to help overcome that. And then part of recovery, being around it long, I know some of the names of it. Recovery is, part of recovery is relapse. So and relapse doesn't necessarily mean use. Use is use. So relapse is part of recovery being, sometimes people have bad days or whatever. So we would certainly help folks.
And also, I don't know if the families so much, if these people are gonna be moving forward. What if they start moving backwards and getting involved in things? Will they be allowed to stay there and utilize that as a base of operation, let's say?
I'm reading into that statement. Say like someone starts, criminal stuff, right? Is that what you're going?
Yeah.
Well, depends on the case. We'll work with each person case by case. Some of the challenges is that it's a family. And what, I'll put it this way. We will do everything we can to help that family stay housed. We will work alongside of them. We will, we'll even maybe, jump in the way, work with law enforcement, whatever we need to do to help that family stay housed. But there's a point where we can't go any further with you, when things start getting dangerous or illegal. Yeah, that's as far as we can go.
So can I step in just a sec here? First of all, when we're speaking, because we don't have a microphone, you'll have to raise your voices. Can you state your name just for the record? We have it in the.
Tom Brown.
Okay, perfect. And then just so we put it back out there, everyone's on the same page. This is very intentionally family oriented. And though those folks could have similar challenges to what you're suggesting, I don't know that that's the everyday. So I think the model is not going to necessarily have those folks.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So-
And I, having worked with families, and I'm Erin Kaufman, Salvation Army. The desire is that they're moving from point A to point B. We understand that sometimes there's 2 steps back, 1 step forward, but as long as we're moving from point A to point B, that's the goal. Granted, life happens, flat tires happen, all of that happens, but the goal is to have that continuum of care from point A to point B. As long as we're on that path, I think we'll continue to work with folks with the desire. So.
And you have interaction, it looks like already with ADAPT and Berry, a first step, and those are the 2 sober living and recovery programs for our county. So the 2 primaries in that are already engaged. I would say from your list of services you proposed in here, that's as best practice and comprehensive as it comes. I haven't seen a program that tops that. I was appreciative of the work the Salvation Army does, so. Every opportunity possible seems to have been tagged into this.
keeping families together, moving forward, is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
That's one of the things, yeah. Awesome.
And for the benefit, so I've seen this proposal multiple times. He's presented previously to our executive board. And then I actually have had reviewed the entire document on behalf of the Salvation Army at the Salvation Army's request. So I didn't want you or anyone to think that this was the first time that we'd seen it and went ahead and agreed to put forward 480,000. And so I want you to know that we've been working with Salvation Army for several months here. And so this was an opportunity to present it to the entire body in order to make a decision. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. That's important as well as the references and experience that this specific team comes to Coos Bay with. So.
And there's communities, has excellent services available. And Coos Health will get great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most of them.
All right.
Just a couple partners right there.
Just a few partners. Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
I'm Joshua Sauer with ADAPT Integrated Healthcare, CRM too. I have an unrelated topic. I reached out to Andrew today and he suggested I might pop in here for a moment. Yeah, thanks.
Let me speak up just a tad bit.
A little bit more?
Yeah.
So, me and other community partners, mostly wrapped around burn peers, do outreach on local areas. Kirkhill, Powers, Myrtle Point, Lakeside. We've recently added Charleston. We went to Charleston last month. When we attended this morning, the owner of Davy Jones asked us not to be present. We were set up behind the welcoming center in Charleston there. I don't know where his property ends or where the other property starts. And I do not know whose jurisdiction the welcoming center is. There's just an open parking lot. Pull in there. It's closed in for the winter. So we are looking for a venue to set up to provide outreach services. Last month, we helped close to 15 different individuals. So it's a decent venue. Our target is the trailer park that's behind Davy Jones Walker first and foremost. There's a lot of people in there that are underserved and need some additional services. So I reached out to Andrew, and he advised that I pop in here and say something. So I don't know if the city owns the Welcome Center or the city has another piece of property in Charleston, in that general area that they're not able to utilize, or.
So Charleston's actually outside of the city limits. I do think that the visitor center is the county.
We own the property.
Okay.
It is leased to the Charleston Merchants Association for use as a visitors welcoming center. So we don't have complete control of it. They are looking at, I don't know when they'll get to it, a better site for that center. And at that time, if it were returned to us, we could we'd be happy to work with you. But I don't think that's going to take care of it next week.
No,
I don't have a next week answer for you.
So I have a month, it's set up monthly. We go to a different location each week of the month. Would it be appropriate to contact the board, Charleston? Do you think?
The visit, contact the Charleston, the Merchants
Yeah.
Association.
Okay.
That would be the best at this time.
There could be other options, Josh, in that area. I don't know the current status, but I know some groups have been out of the Power Squadron building there. There are some groups that have been out of the Charleston School. They're allowing some work out of there. So there might be some other options as well. It might be also relatively close.
Yeah, good, good.
Church might be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
Right behind that.
That's right, our church.
Okay. Yeah, I had a pretty hectic morning this morning, so my mind was singly focused to where we'd already been, so.
I mean, I think that's a good first try to see if
Yeah.
there's a different answer for the
Right.
association, but if not, you can certainly contact me and I can try to explore some other possibilities that might also work.
Okay.
Charleston Sanitary has a boardroom out there. I don't know. They're on
Yeah.
that main drive too. Public in nature.
The board has that.
Yeah, they have facility too.
If the visitor center is closed, you might want to approach them too. I mean, that's all coordinated. That's all TLT, so there's obviously a primary contact for that visitor center, for that merchant association. I wouldn't have it, but I know Janice would.
Yeah, I mean, we know the representative who's on the VCB board, so we can definitely, connect.
I would guess that Davy Jones Locker contributes to the Charleston, so we may have a kind of
Yeah.
political issue there, but I think it's worth a try, and you should, and that'd be a good answer, but it couldn't be ignored.
To clarify for future viewing public, that's 12 individuals just in downtown Charleston seeking recovery, correct? If they're coming to your booth.
They were seeking services. We have all kinds of services present. We have SUD, Coos Health and Wellness is there doing testing, HIV Alliance, Barrier First Step. So the goal of these types of outreaches is to establish connection.
Yep.
Then once we have connection, as soon as they're ready to actually pursue some sort of recovery, we're already in place. And we've seen a lot of fruit from that.
Cool.
And 12 or 15,
What's that?
12 or 15,
People?
yeah,
We'll go with 12.
okay,
I don't want to overstate it.
okay,
But it was a good interaction.
yeah,
It was
Okay.
worth our time. We're actually having we have abandoned, that we're actually gonna have to abandon because, we're not getting a head count that. So we're gonna change that location, which is my next meeting, so.
Madam Chairman, say something?
Yeah.
Can you also suggest and tell about the other places that you help serve? In the short
Yes,
summer?
different weeks, we each take one day out of the week and we go to different locations. I don't remember the order, but, first one is Myrtle Point, Powers, and Cook Hill. Same partners, HIV Alliance. Actually, there's more, HIV Alliance, Youth Era, which is the drop. Who's Health and Wellness, Bay Area First Step, Adapt. We've also got Advanced Health on board now. Steve's coming out. And there's 2 other community partners that are looking to join. So that starts out, Myrtle Point, moves on to Powers midday. Out there, we'll be attending a health fair. Powers Health Board put on a health fair, so we'll all be part of that biannually now. And then on the way back, we go through Cook Hill. We also do, the next stop is Lakeside. So on Lakeside, one day a month, during their main food drive. The Powers one is the main interaction. We get a lot of traction throughout the day. Lakeside, you're looking at probably around 8 people. But now the people that are housed in cars are starting to come through too. So that number's going up. And then Bandon, we had a large encampment that we were working where we went about 20 people out there. A lot of good services provided. The town cut down all the trees, got rid of them, ran them out. We haven't been able to reestablish contact. And then this most recent one is Charleston. And our first visit out there was 12 people, which is abnormal because you usually look at 3 or 4 people first time, and then it takes 3 or 4 connections in order to really see some improvement. So it's quite fun. And then we'll be looking to add one more venue, and we're going to be changing the Bandon venue to same time or same date, but we'll be moving it to somewhere else.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? All right, Andrew, if you want to give us an update on new hires.
So first off, I want to thank Councilor Farmer and Commissioner John Sweet on Monday. We conducted 3 interviews, and 2 were for project manager and 1 was for administrative assistants. After the recommendation and following through after the meetings, I then contacted Cardinal Services, and they are in the process of backgrounds and reference checks. Their internet and phone lines were down yesterday, but I'm hoping to hear back something here soon by the end of the week. And we should hopefully, if things work out by next week, possibilities of having a new project manager and administrative assistant. So
That's great.
and I appreciate everybody's help on that process as well. So thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Nope. All right, well, we will adjourn the meeting.
Our next meeting will be September.
Yes.
I will not be there.
Okay.
I'll be on vacation.
Thank you guys for coming.